This is the final boss of monitors. Seriously, if you buy this thing, you don't need anything else. This is AOC's latest hit, the AG276QKD2, a 1440p 500Hz QD-OLED and an insane 1000 nits of peak brightness. This is it. This is the ultimate gaming monitor. So let's see just how amazing this absolute beast truly is, starting with a brief tour. This thing follows AOC's recent design language, with a sleek and thin panel enclosed in a metal shell and a plastic backing that looks pretty nice. That has an RGB ring built in, which can be fully controlled, including off from the menu. From the front, you get the same sleek look, with a decently sized, sort of irregular shaped foot, and nothing but a thin, slightly protruding chin bar with AOC's Aegon logo up front. Otherwise, it's very clean. Stand-wise, you have all of the adjustments. Tilt, height, swivel, all as standard, and even rotation into portrait mode if you're insane. I/O is just 2 HDMI ports, 1 display port, a 2-port USB 3 hub with 1 yellow charging port, and DC in from the external power supply. It's worth noting that while you absolutely can use those 2 HDMI ports to run the display, they won't be able to run it at the full 500Hz. At least on my machine with an RX 6900 XT, I can only get this to a pretty abysmal 120Hz. Although with a newer GPU, you should be able to hit at least a more reasonable 240, possibly slightly more. Basically, you really want to use DisplayPort with this thing. When it comes to that on-screen menu, that's controlled with a joystick style switch on the back. Definitely my preferred option, and the menu itself is AOC's most recent design. It's fine enough, easy to navigate, and has plenty of options. You've got a few game modes, controls for the gaming related settings like a crosshair, obviously controls for things like brightness and colours, and man, there are a lot of colour options. Everything from colour, space and temperature to 6-axis hue control, and of course you have OLED care settings. These boil down to dimming, either the whole panel, which is screensaver, or partial dimming like the taskbar or boundary dimmers, or protective sort of measures like thermal protection and pixel orbiting, that shifts the whole image a couple of pixels left, up, right, down, since the panel is actually purposefully oversized for your standard 1440p display image, or the pixel refresh options. For those worrying about burn-in, by the way, don't. I've been using a QD-OLED panel, kind of like this one in my Philips Evnia 8600 for 2.5 years full time now, and there is still absolutely no burn-in at all. Even full screen on a mid-grey, there is nothing. I use it literally 12 hours or more a day for 2.5 years, and it's still immaculate. You really don't need to worry about burn-in with these things. So if the physical design is pretty sleek and stylish, and you don't need to worry about burn-in, what's the panel itself actually like? Well, pretty damn jaw-dropping. Turning this on for the first time, you'll be blown away by the vibrance, even on the desktop. Stick something with pretty colours on and damn, it is beautiful. It's vibrant, rich, and just gorgeous. I'm in love. And then you start moving stuff on screen and you're blown away again. I genuinely can't describe just how great an experience this gives. Even for just watching stuff, it looks so damn good. It's brilliantly bright. Even in a bright environment like my studio, it's just great. Interestingly, despite quoting 1000 nits of peak brightness and sure looking bright, it's actually only outputting around 300 nits. Happily, unlike most WOLED panels, this doesn't have an adaptive brightness limiter, so you get 300 nits regardless of how much of the screen is lit up. That 1000 nits figure is the peak brightness in HDR mode, which actually isn't all that unusual for a QD-OLED panel like this. Still, it punches well above its weight for on the brightness front. Colors wise, I should start off by saying that you actually get a color calibration report included in the box. The fact that AOC, and no one else that I know of except for their sister company Philips, do this is both great for AOC and not great for everyone else. Anyway, the report shows a stellar accuracy results, the color gamut coverage for your specific panel, and uniformity too. I can confirm that the gamut coverage is excellent. 99% DCI-P3 and 83% of Rec 2020, as is the accuracy at an average delta E of just 0.63 with no results above 2. That's amazing. As for response times, it feels almost pointless to even measure them on an OLED like this, because the answer is they are functionally instant. OSRTT, the tool that I made to test response times and is available at osrtt.com, link in the description, can't quite keep up with just how fast this thing is, but suffice it to say it is perfect in this regard. Latency is also amazing at around 1 millisecond on average, which is exactly what we want to see. All of that, and the insanely fast refresh rates, means that this is the single best gaming experience that you can have, at least on a 16:9 flat panel display anyway. The ludicrously fast refresh rate, coupled with the instant response times, give you the sharpest, smoothest, and just butteriest gaming experience you can imagine. Like, it feels like it defies physics. It's just so smooth. It's crisp and genuinely gives you the best competitive advantage you can imagine. I checked out AOC's 640Hz TN panel recently, and I would take this thing any day over that. The colors, the viewing angles, and the instant response times make this noticeably better, and it's only like £70 more. When I say that this gives you a competitive advantage, that isn't just the smoothness or even the latency, it's the fact that thanks to the 500 frames all being perfectly rendered in an instant per second assaulting your eyeballs, you can aim better, track targets better, and even hit those headies. Even a layman like me saw a benefit, so if I can, you can too. To say that I love this thing is a bit of an understatement. This panel is just perfect, and amazingly, this thing doesn't even cost like £2,000. Hell, it doesn't even cost £1,000. It's currently, anyway, around £680. Now obviously, that's a lot of money. That's often what people pay for their entire systems, but for what you're getting, damn, that's good value. A 500Hz 1440p QD-OLED for under £700? I can't even really compute that. Like, OLEDs in general were all more than that until very recently. And now you can get the ultimate OLED for that kind of money? Like, what progress? Obviously, if you don't fancy the absolute ultimate with the ludicrous refresh rate, there are some cheaper options. The AG276QKD2 instead of K2 or KD2 is a very similar QD 1440p OLED panel, but is only 240Hz instead, and that is even more astonishingly only £450 now. So maybe consider that one if you don't want the insane refresh rates, or check out the ultra-wide version, the AG346UCD, or actually the Porsche design version of it that's actually 240Hz instead of 175 and is slightly cheaper right now. That's the PD34. Still, this QKD2 is absolutely insane in the best way possible. And if you've got the money, this is hands down the ultimate gaming monitor. Amazing work, AOC. Now obviously those are my thoughts, but I'd love to hear yours in the comments down below. What do you think of the AG276QKD2? Is this a monitor you're interested in? Is this your ultimate monitor, even if you can't necessarily afford it right now or whatever? Or is there something else? Let me know in the comments down below. If you want to check the monitor out, I will leave a link to it in the description. If you want to be able to test your own monitors like this, I do have sort of built and designed my very own tool, the open source response time tool that is available at osrtt.com. I make them right here at home in the UK and ship them worldwide, so feel free to check that out. You can also check out the subscribe button to see more videos like this one, and check out plenty of other videos in the end cards, including why you might actually buy a 500Hz or higher monitor. Otherwise, that's pretty much it. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you all in the next video.